And I will also say, Vince, are you ready for rapid fire?
Great segue. You're such a pro.
I've been working on it. Been working on my segs all day. Whoop. Hang on. I accidentally hit something there. I almost ejected myself.
Oh, that would be bad.
Fill in the blank. It's St. Patrick's Day, and that means Pot of Gold Day, of course, for Notre Dame recruiting. And it's blank. Ohio State decided to be the latest to troll Notre Dame by tweeting Happy Pot of Gold Day with 2 photos from the national championship game with 2 Buckeyes players carrying pots of gold coins against the Irish.
It's trollish for sure, but they beat Notre Dame for the national championship. So I mean, it's a low blow. Like it feels very juvenile, but at the same time, you won. To the victor go the spoils. To the victor go the weird edits carrying coins. Like,
I guess so.
I mean, I don't like it as a Notre Dame fan, but they beat you. Like, okay. I mean, it's whatever. I just hope. Here's what I hope. Okay. I hope the next time Notre Dame and Ohio State play that, obviously Notre Dame wins and they return the favor. Let's not be the bigger man, okay? Let's throw it right back at them.
You're all in on the pettiness.
My goodness.
You want pettiness coming back. I don't think they would, though.
I am the conductor of the petty train. Let's go. That's where I'm at.
Too much class on one side, too much Ryan Day on the other side. I just feel like it is unnecessarily petulant of Ohio State.
It is.
Do this. You shouldn't have to act like the redheaded stepchild, specifically with the team you just beat in the national championship game. Like why do you need to go to this length? I'm surprised they didn't just tweet a picture of, like Ryan Day with Lou Holtz in a headlock or something, like Happy Pot of Gold Day. And, put a leprechaun hat on Lou Holtz or something. Jesse actually said this today, though, before he left. It's something Ryan Day would tweet, like this whole pot of gold thing.
I'm not giving him that much credit. Like, I don't, like, he didn't do this.
He's not that creative. That's a good point.
I don't think so at all. Like, I refuse to give him that much credit. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Interesting that Steve Wiltfong, who, of course, covers recruiting, tweeted this earlier in the day. Notre Dame's Pot of Gold Day is already ripping and roaring, and the top 2027 prospects in the land are buzzing. Notre Dame is the gold standard of college football. This is from an independent recruiting analyst, Steve Wiltfong, saying this. And maybe they saw that and they felt like, to me,
this is their response.
Yes. And to me, like, I feel like them doing this, like you can say,
that's a good point.
Whatever. It's just, having fun or, whatever you want to say it. Like, I think they're feeling some heat, like they know Notre Dame is a real threat on the recruiting trail now. And like, that's why they're doing this, to try to mock them a little bit. Back at them. So,
I mean, I love Steve. He used to be on the Notre Dame beat. Yep. So, it's like 51%, 49% kind of a thing for me. But that's not his job now. And I do think he is a professional and he's not going to just say things to say things.
Right.
But hey, the pot of gold thing is uniquely Notre Dame, and it always has been. And no other school in the country can say that. And I think it's awesome, right? I mean, that is an inventive way to get those offers out there. I love it. It's just diving into who you are as Notre Dame and just, everything that you are. I think it's great. And the other schools are just, unhappy they don't have it. They don't have one of those kinds of things. And sorry, you don't have it.
That's right. There's not a Buckeye Day that you can have.
There's not. Nobody celebrates.
No one's going to go out and eat a bunch of Buckeyes.
Nope. They're not. The peanut butter ones are good, though.
No, they are.
I'm just saying.
Buckeye's actually pretty tasty. But so a lot of people, speaking of recruiting, are upset. Maybe they should have a Buckeye holiday.
I mean,
it's there'd be worse holidays to have, I think.
Not wrong.
A lot of people are upset that Notre Dame has not reaped any recruiting rewards yet after the college football playoff run to the national championship game 2 months ago. What do you say to that, Vince?
I say you need to be more patient Because there's not a lot of 26 guys that were sitting around just seeing who's going to win the national championship
Waiting
and then
to be,
going
yeah.
with that school. Like, I don't think, like, you're going to see dividends being paid in the 27 and the 28 class, not the 26 class.
Yeah.
So that's not, like, recruiting is not an overnight thing. Recruiting is the long game. And if you don't have the patience for the long game, then you're going to be upset about recruiting. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's people out there that I think, as Notre Dame, had a valiant attempt in the national, went to the national championship game, blah, blah, blah. They were expecting like the next week to have a bunch of guys commit to Notre Dame because they were in the national championship.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Not how it works.
You know what I mean? So I just think people are short-sighted. Like, you got to play the long game on this one.
And they do have a bunch of studs who are going to be visiting here in the very near future, like this month, like some of that probably is a result of being in the national championship game. And I do think it's also important to remember that, this year, 11 other teams made the college football playoff.
Correct.
So they're all trying to spin being in the playoff to their benefit. It's not just Notre Dame. Like,
right.
Because that's another aspect of recruiting is everyone is very myopic. All you're doing is looking at what's right in front of you, your own thing, your team. You're not paying attention until, like you start getting poached and whatever else. But like what are all these other, what is Boise State doing? Like Boise State is sure hoping that being in the playoff spins into some, kind of recruiting benefit for them, and go on down the line. Arizona State, like they hope that they're going to be, sort of the next big thing after doing this. They don't want this to be a one and done. So they're all trying to spin being in the playoff in their favor. And I think that you summed it up best, though. It is a long game in recruiting. It's not just right now.
I just love how people just get so bent out of shape when it comes to recruiting. It's like, take a breath, everybody. Just relax. Just relax. It's okay. It's okay.
You got any receivers over there yet?
I know, right? I'm hiding them in the basement. They're here. Don't worry.
Yeah. With your pot of gold and the leprechauns. And
right.
Buckeyes.
Right.
Have to see if my wife can make some Buckeyes for this weekend. Maybe.
Oh, see, now I got you into it.
I know. Fill in the blank. It's blank that Jeff Jackson's career has come to an end after 19 seasons as Notre Dame hockey coach.
It's bittersweet. I think Jeff Jackson is an excellent hockey coach, right? And I think he's proven that time and time again at Notre Dame. Frozen Fours and all of these different things. I think he's an excellent hockey coach. But I also think at some point it's time for some new blood, right? The entire staff at Notre Dame, or at least the two guys that are really in charge, which is Coach Pooley and Coach Jackson, it's time to turn the page. Like, it's okay. Again, two things can be correct at the same time. You can still appreciate the job they did at Notre Dame, but it's time to turn it over to kind of the next generation. And I think that's still accurate, right? They didn't have a great season this year. I don't know enough about hockey to say that the game is passing him by. I'm not going to go there. But I will say the proof is in the standings and the record and all of those different things. And I know that they're a young team, this year, and they got that great win last weekend over Minnesota. That's a great parting gift for Jeff Jackson.
Yeah, it was concerned. It was a pretty nice high note to be able to pull off kind of an upset like that.
Right.
Late in the season when you weren't supposed to.
And Coach Jackson, Coach Pooley, like in my other job, I had to deal with all the coaches on campus. They were always amazing. You know what I mean? And I'm really hoping that they bring somebody in, that to deal with that's just as amazing as they were, because they are. They're amazing people. They're amazing coaches. But it's okay to turn the page too. And I think it's a good time.
Yeah. I mean, the guy won a lot of games, obviously 7 Frozen Fours. And I remember when I got here to South Bend 25 years ago, the program was just, kind of just there. They would show little hints of promise, and they made a change and brought in Jeff Jackson. It's like, who is this guy? And it's like, it's amazing. He is 69 years old, and he reminds me a little bit of Gene Hackman, because he has looked 69 for the better part of the last 19 years that he's been here.
He's had gray hair the whole time.
That's exactly. He has not changed much at all since he has been here. So
great point.
Yeah, the fact that he is 69 now, means that he was 50 when he got here. So
saying something right there.
Yeah, like Gene Hackman, like when he was 45, he looked 70. When he was 70, he looked 7. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's the same with Jeff Jackson. Like the guy he's 69 years old and hasn't changed much, but over 600 Division I wins, which is amazing. The winningest coach in program history, all the Frozen Fours, 2-time national coach of the year. But yeah, I mean, it definitely, like I'm the same with you, not like deep into hockey guy, but he did have a very distinct style that was ever able to play for a while. And it just sounds like, sort of like speed and, bringing those things into the game at Notre Dame is kind of what they need. So hopefully, like the next guy is half as good as what Jeff Jackson was.
It's a former Notre Dame player.
Great career. Yeah.
It's a former Notre Dame player. So, he understands what this place is like and, all of those different things. So,
yeah.
We'll see what happens. Like I said, it's a young squad. They got talent there. Let's see what they can do.
Salty's asking how long the fencing coach has been at Notre Dame. They've actually
2014.
I was going to say they've made a change. I guess 2014, that's been 11 years, but somewhat recently because it was Janusz, what was it, Bednarik or something like that before the current coach. Do you remember that?
Good luck pronouncing the current coach's name. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
It's Gia Kvaratskhelia.
Yeah.
It's Kvaratskhelia.
The coach, again, like the coach before that was like Janusz Bednarski or something like, because I remember I would be Pete LaFleur, who used to be the Notre Dame baseball SID or Old Boy Sluggo. He was also the fencing SID. So when I was doing Notre Dame baseball games on the radio, Pete and I would be on the road together, and Janusz would call Pete about something on the cell phone, and every time Pete would answer the phone, Janusz would go, "Pete, it's Janusz Bednarski," or what I wish I could remember exactly what it, but like he would say his first and last name every time. Like there were 10 other Janushes running around at Notre Dame. Like
that is
he had
fantastic.
to introduce himself first and last name all the time.
Well, I'm looking at the roster on the website, and I went back to 2014, and they don't have any of the coaches prior to Coach Gia showing up. So, which is disappointing. They got the roster, but they don't have the coaching staffs. So, yeah.
You're right, Peter LaFleur, DK. It was funny because Vince Vaughn, 2 movies in a row, his character's name was Jeremy Gray in Wedding Crashers. In Dodgeball, it was Peter LaFleur.
Those are both people.
And I know people of both of those names that Vince Vaughn played. In fact,
that's right. That's hilarious.
Used to work with 2 guys who actually had those names back-to-back Vince Vaughn's movies. Yep, that's right. Fill in the blank. Dan Hurley going nuts over the weekend because a Creighton player had a breakaway dunk at the end of UConn's loss to the Blue Jays in the Big East tournament. Is blank.
Old school, I guess, is the best way to put it. Like it would annoy me because I'm old school, but the new school.
But would you need to go nuts about it? Would you need to run out on the floor yelling at everybody?
Is that what he did?
Yeah.
Stop him. Just stop. Like you have 5 guys on the floor. They have 5 guys on the floor. Stop them. Like I don't know.
There's
I don't
still
have
time
a big
on the clock, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, dude, you just won 2 national championships.
Right. And guess what? That kid who dunked it doesn't care.
That's right.
He just won 2 national championships. He's
trying
to beat you.
The Creighton coach apologized to him. It's like, I wouldn't be apologizing to you. You got nothing to apologize for. Dan Hurley just feels like a comet that's ready to burn out at any minute. He just runs so hot all the time. It's like, calm down, dude. You won back-to-back national championships. You won back-to-back national championships because 2 months ago, you were telling everybody you were the best coach in the world. So
there you go.
Like chill out and coach your own team.
Yeah.
How about that?
100%.
So Robert Griffin III went on a recent Twitter rant about sports debate shows. Here's what he said. This is RG3. Debate shows have destroyed the way sports are covered. They prioritize creating drama, controversy, and sensationalism over substance to drive engagement, whether good or bad, at the cost of truth and integrity. He went on to a I mean, it was a long rant about how debate shows are just gossip. And, the main point that they have ruined the way that we talk about sports. So, Vince, do you buy or sell RG3's thesis?
Well, first of all, it's a huge sell. And there's a multitude of reasons why it's a huge sell for me. Okay. The first thing that came to my mind was, number one, what is sports? Sports is entertainment. Okay.
Right.
And the manner in which you cover sports is also entertainment. And people are entertained when people argue with each other. That just is what it is. The sports reporters have been around for a very, very long time. Since before RG3 was born, is my guess, by the way.
Probably right.
So this isn't like a new phenomenon that just showed up, these debates. And when did it become a prerequisite, if you're having a debate with somebody, to not use truth and integrity? Like, I don't understand that. Like, I've never lied when I'm trying to debate somebody about a sporting event. Like, I don't understand that, like his point on that. I don't understand his point on that. And when you're reporting on sports, it's okay to have a dissenting opinion. I don't understand why. And then when when one person has one opinion and one person has another opinion, they get to discuss it. You put a camera in their face and all of a sudden it's entertainment. What's wrong with that?
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. And the market, gives you what the market bears. Like, there's an interest in these shows. They wouldn't still be on TV if fans weren't consuming them. And like, RG3 just comes off like a very thin-skinned, overly sensitive athlete to me. Obviously he was criticized to an extent when things went, south in Washington and stuff like that at the end of his pro career. To me, so I'm with you. This is a complete sell for me on the subject of these debate shows. To me, the real one that he needs to be coming at is the platform that he was using, to give his whole presentation, and that's Twitter. Like,
good point.
If I'm picking between Twitter and TV debate shows, Twitter is the real evil to me. There was a quaint time, Vince, not that long ago. You may remember it. It wasn't the 1950s. We all had our opinions about sports, and we just yelled at our TVs or threw our remote across the room, or
got whatever. An argument at a bar, or found a friend who had access to a radio station, and we did a show together. Like,
that's right.
That's what you did.
That's right. And only our friends and family knew what a dipstick you were, because of how, intense you were getting about it. But now Twitter is, like, some people kind of, as message boards started to become popular before Twitter even, that was a thing. But all of that has just spilled into the free domain of Twitter. Now, obviously RG3 is paying for his Twitter, because he gets literally like that much space to write this whole book that he wrote. On the subject, but it Twitter gave everyone, the need to let everyone else know how much they think they know, and, gave people the chance to spew their hate directly at the players and all that kind of stuff. So to me, Twitter is the one that's completely changed the way sports are covered. People don't even, like, literally, you don't even need to be like a TV guy. Doesn't need to be on TV to break a story. All he's got to do is pull out his thumbs and, tweet away, and he's got it. And it's far more hate-filled to me than any of the sports debate shows. Like, maybe some of the sports debate shows make it a little bit personal, but the Twitter stuff, people, again, like, they literally come right at the athletes and the players. So it's far worse to me than debate shows.
Oh yeah. Big time.
So the Cubs open the Major League Baseball season tomorrow morning against the Dodgers in Japan, 6 a.m. Eastern time. You in or out on the 6 a.m. open to the season, Vince?
It's funny because I'm on the fence about this one, and I need to pick a side, because I watched a little bit of the Japan, because they've been playing two Japan teams, like both the Dodgers and the Cubs are over there in Japan right now. And they've had a couple of double headers in a row where the Cubs play one Japanese team and then the Dodgers play the other. Then they flip-flopped. And, I found myself watching some of those games, you know what I mean? And I thought that they were interesting, and taking the game to Japan, I think is not a bad thing at all. It's a little strange, and I understand why they're doing it because of the time change and the travel and all that, to have 2 games to start the regular season, and then they're taking like a week more of spring training, and then they're coming back with more regular season games. So that's a little odd, but I get it. Like, I understand it. I'm going to buy it just because it's unique. I wouldn't buy the Cubs doing it every single season, right? Every single year. Am I going to get up at 6 a.m. to watch this? Probably not, but I might. Depends on what time I get to bed the night before, if I'm being perfectly honest. You know what I mean? Like, it was nice because the one game that I watched was actually on in the evening because it was obviously earlier. So it was more normal time than it was at 6 a.m. So if they could just get that part kind of fixed a little bit. I don't know what time it is in Japan. If you have an afternoon game here in the States or a night game or whatever.
Like if you could even push it back to 9 a.m. or something like that, would it be too late? I have no idea what the time is.
I don't either.
Like, but 6 a.m. is obviously very early. It's like, like the Olympics with time differences and stuff like that. And the fact that it is, I get it. You're going to Japan. You've got Ohtani going back to Japan. That that's part of the sell. It just stinks that like this is, I guess it's not the official opening day for Major League Baseball, but it is still the first official games that are going to be played at Major League Baseball this season.
Right.
And they're going to be buried at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So
I just figured it out. So it's 7:12 a.m. right now. So 6 a.m. for us will be 7 p.m. for them.
Okay.
So they're doing it a normal start time locally, which is a 7 p.m. start, which of course makes sense, but it doesn't make sense for the people at home watching. Because that, by the way, that's a 3 a.m. start for Dodgers fans.
Wow, that's true. I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about how bad it was for the California fans. That's very true.
It's a 5 a.m. start for Chicago Cubs fans, and it's a 3 a.m. start for Dodger fans. We on the East Coast, I guess,
we actually have it best out of everybody.
It's just nuts.
All right, which is nuts.
So I don't know.
Fill in the blank. Jason Sudeikis has confirmed that season 4 of Ted Lasso is in the works, and it's blank that he's going to coach a women's team this season.
I felt
Jesse said, "Get up and quit complaining, old man."
Yeah, I thought that was funny. They really tied the show up pretty nicely at the end of season 3. I feel like this is extra. Like it just feels like a bit of a money grab. And I don't like saying that because I do like the show. And I'm going to watch it. Like I will watch the show, but I don't like it. And not necessarily because he's coaching a women's team. It just feels like a new show now. It's like a spinoff.
Right.
Almost.
You're going to have different characters. I wonder who they'll probably like Brendan, like his sidekick, who's one of the writers. Yeah. Beard. Yeah. That's who it is. He's one. He and Sudeikis are the 2 creators. I feel like main creators, producer, writer, whatever. Sudeikis wanted to wrap up Ted Lasso. Like he's the one who wanted to wrap it up. I think because he was worried about like dragging it on too long and just doing it for the sake of doing it, so they ended the storyline when they did and kept it fairly tight. And that's why I actually like this, because he stepped away, but now we get the character coming back and you're going to get, like new characters, new circumstances and all that kind of stuff. So I actually like it. So like, if this gives him sort of like a fresh set of ideas, where he doesn't think that it's getting stale, I like the fact that he's bringing it back. And I think the women's angle makes sense because, like he was, he has been like big into like women's basketball, for example. Like remember when he was going around with Sue Bird, he was at like the NCAA tournament and even regular season games. Like he was at like a lot of the Caitlin Clark games. He went out to Albany last year for the tournament when we were out there. He was only at the Iowa games, of course, but he was actually at the Notre Dame UConn game with Sue Bird last year out there in stores. So like he's a fan of like women's basketball specifically. So I bet like through some of that and probably like talking to Sue Bird and some of the other players, I bet he's maybe come up with some of the ideas for what he's going to do. So I like it. I like the fact that it's coming back.
I can get on board with it because I will say it got stale there for a little bit, and then it ended.
The last season to me, it was very hit and miss.
Yeah,
I felt like
it ended with a flourish. I like the way it ended.
Yeah,
I'm very curious because they really hit home on the family aspect of him coming home, being with his family. Where's he going to coach?
Yeah,
like, are you just going to throw that away?
He was on the New Heights podcast. This is where he originally announced it with the Kelseys, Travis and Jason. And they asked him, was it going to be in England? Is it going to be in the States? And he's like, we've already revealed too much. So he didn't want to go any farther and say where exactly it was good. So maybe it will.
Maybe it's going to be like a LA Galaxy or, that's a men's team. But you know what I mean? Like, coaching one of the MLS, the WMLS.
Gained all this fame in England, and now he comes back to the States maybe or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, again, I'm looking
forward to it. I mean, it's probably going to take 2 years before we actually see it, the way things work in that world. But I'm looking forward to it. Like, a chance to get more Ted Lasso is a good thing.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You are not wrong.
We'll both at least check out what that season looks like, and if we don't like it, we don't have to go back to it. So
fair.
But I'm excited. I was fired up when I heard that over the weekend. All right. Well, that's going to do it for today. Appreciate you being here, as always. We will we've got spring football practice starting Wednesday.
That's right.
The original date we were given was the 18th. So anyone who still has that in mind, it's Wednesday, the 19th.
Changed it.
But we'll be out there. Will you be coming to practice at all? Are you going to be able to get away? Okay.
Not the day ones. Like, I'm hoping April 5th.
We'll have some Marcus Freeman post-practice audio because he'll have a press conference that day. So Vince and I will have some of his thoughts on the Wednesday show.
Yep.
Jesse and I will be in tomorrow.
Yep.
And kind of have our final pre-spring teaser show.
Yes.
We got that going on.
Nice.
Tomorrow.
Oh, you already updated the sheet. I was going to get in there and update the sheet.
Yes.
Okay.
Vince had a bunch of changes that he was throwing today.
Hey, Northern Indiana weather. We'll do that to you.
It's crazy, man. It was like beautiful last week, and we woke up this morning. There was frost on the windshields.
Dude, did you look out your window yesterday? Like it was
snowing for a while.
Hard.
I know.
Yesterday. Now, luckily, none of it really stuck. But the day before, so Saturday, I'm walking around in a t-shirt, and then Sunday it's snowing. Like who knows? And then tomorrow it's going to be 65 and sunny. So whatever. Like let's go. Let's roll. Welcome to Northern Indiana.
So Brock Sheehan, somebody was asking if they've named a replacement. I can't remember his name. Brock Sheehan, former Notre Dame player.
Former Notre Dame hockey player.
Yeah.
That was announced, I think, at the beginning of the season. Like it was always kind of understood. I don't know, like he has named a staff or any of that kind of stuff, but the head coach has been in. And I think Brock was on the staff this year.
Yeah.
As well. It's kind of like a transition, kind of a situation.
USMA was 87 was saying we need a longer show. I mean, if you want to mail back us up, we can always do a longer show, but that's on you guys. But he also says snow is better than tornadoes. I will agree with that.
Fair.
Coming from Kansas, where tornadoes are very prevalent. A buddy of mine in high school had the house, the roof ripped off his house by a tornado. That was.
I'm good not living in Tornado Alley. I'll pass on that.
Yeah, we were at the NCAA tournament in Oklahoma City several years ago. This is my first stint doing the radio, and we were eating this is with women's basketball, but we were eating at an IHOP, and the tornado sirens went off, and we all had to go to like the meat locker, whatever I guess it's an IHOP, so it might not have technically
the walk-in. We call it the walk-in.
The walk-in. There you go.
Yeah.
I knew there was another name for it. So we had to go to the walk-in for like 15 or 20 minutes, freezing, waiting for the tornado to pass.
20 minutes in the walk-in. That's kind of legit. Like
it was chilly.
Yeah, I bet it was. I bet it was.
So USMA wants to know the biggest surprise in the recruiting experience with your son.
It shouldn't have been a surprise based on how long I've kind of followed it to a degree, covering Notre Dame and everything. But just how not to the point coaches are. They just try to keep you hanging on.
Leave it as vague as possible.
Yeah, and it's very frustrating. Like, if you're not interested, just freaking tell us so that we can move on and not get our hopes up about things. I say because it's like a family. I mean, recruiting is a family thing.
Sure.
I was amazed at how many coaches were just not honest about things. And it was very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. And I get it. Like, you don't want to cut ties with somebody just in case like your number one option falls through or, something. I get it. But then just tell me that. Like, to be honest. Like, hey, man, you're third on our board. We're going to offer this guy. And he doesn't come. We're going to offer this guy. And maybe we'll get down to you. Like, I would appreciate that more than the subterfuge that we would get from people. That was super frustrating. And then they ghost you. They don't even answer you. Like when you try to reach out.
Dude, that's BS.
Like, that pisses me off. I'm not going to lie. It pissed me off. And so it's not a good surprise. USMA 87. It was a piss me off moment. But in the end, he found a staff and a program that was very honest with him and was upfront about everything, and that was refreshing. And it's one of the many reasons that he chose to go to Hillsdale. So,
silver lining, right?
Yes, sir.
It's all silver linings.
That's right.
All right, well, that's going to do it for today. Have a great rest of your day. Sun's shining outside right now, and we will talk to you tomorrow. We'll talk more football tomorrow.
That's right.
All week long on IB Nation Sports Talk.